Who's this'n?
Brave warrior, looks like. Got 2 swords, see?
Oi, great boy. What's the point of having 2 swords?
Wonder if he keeps an extra prick in his trousers too.
You fucking deaf? Gonna say who you are? Or do I need to loosen your tongue with me knife?
I'm a witcher. Heard you wondering about my swords. Well, one's for monsters, the other for humans. Only got 1 prick though, in case you're wondering about that too.
Don't touch him. Don't even look at him. Worse than lepers, that lot.
What's up guys, Crave here, and Netflix adaptation has been pretty good for the streaming service. It's been very popular and has been given a green light to go for a 2nd season. Now if accurate, I also hear that a 3rd season is also being planned. However, just like most adaptations, the source material has been around a while even before they show up in your theaters or TV screens. Andrzej Sapkowski's 8 books are of course the most accurate tellings of Geralt's world. This was eventually translated into the gaming medium in 2007 by CD Projekt Red, and it culminated in The Witcher 3, which is still my favorite game of all time. Recently, Netflix's efforts has caused a rise in the activity for The Witcher 3 in terms of playing hours logged. It has even surpassed its numbers from The Witcher 3's launch date. Steam clocks in 92,000 players on October 2015, and it recently has been seeing peak values of over 100,000 players. That's amazing for 2 reasons. One, it's a single-player game, which means no new content has been added since its, final DLC some years back, and it's a nearly 5-year-old game, but people are still buying it. That's some pretty amazing work from CD Projekt Red and Netflix. Now, whether you want to return to the world of Geralt in the games or you want to explore the games for the very first time, you should be aware of the differences between the two. Here are some things that might help you get up to speed. Technically, both are adaptations. There is no real possibility of having it accurate on a 1-to-1 scale. Hollywood has to make changes to fit it into a format that suits its audience. The game's timeline falls outside of Andrzej's work, so the developer has, shall we say, more freedom on how to translate the author's work. Still, the timeline tells you that the difference will be very evident. Watching the series or the TV show gives you a better insight of what the books were about and what the characters were like, at least from an adaptation standpoint. Now, the games themselves, they expand on the world better as it covers its many potential backstories and gives you a clearer picture of the grim world of The Witcher. Geralt's profession in the game, as in the series, is a monster slayer. Witchers by nature are very skilled swordsmen. They use their steel swords when fighting men, but their silver blades are reserved for beasts and, unnatural horrors. In the game, the famed White Wolf carries both swords on his back, and I have to admit, it's quite the stylish way of carrying them, if I should add. This means that in nearly every scenario he gets into, Geralt, the White Wolf, is always at the ready, regardless of the enemy type he has to face. In Netflix adaptation, Geralt only lugs around 1 blade and leaves the other with Roach, his faithful steed. This becomes evident to those who observe Roach for every episode where you can see the horse, and even more so in the latter part of Season 1. This was where Geralt was always carrying a big black bag on his way to help with a quest concerning a certain green dragon. Well, this will go by fairly quick, but Jaskier is also Dandelion the Bard in the Witcher games. Jaskier and his toss a coin to your Witcher was of course great to watch. I mean, in medieval times or fantasy settings, there must always be a bard because their music is always important to the genre, whether to inspire or to give you a tone of what the situation is like. However, if you happen to play the game, just don't get confused if a certain bard has gone missing or if you happen upon Dandelion, just remember they are the same person. Just to add a note to it, translations to the name were made for certain reasons, however I can't seem to verify any of them. Suffice to say, they were basically the same, and they bear the same descriptions of a flower that is yellow in color. And by the way, there is another bard in the game. Should you decide to get into The Witcher 3 and see this particular female bard, here's a sample of her work.
These scars long have yearned for your tender caress, to bind our fortunes. Damn what the stars unravel. rend my heart open, then your love profess, a winding, weaving fate to which we both atone. You flee, my dream come the morning, your scent, berries tart, lilac sweet.
Unless you were into comic books, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was probably a lot of things happening for you. I guess the same could be said for Game of Thrones, unless you were into the books. Digesting the first season might have been much. Now, both mediums for The Witcher is a lot to take unless you've come across Andrzej's work in one form or the other. The format of the TV series, well, it really isn't standard, although some of us may be familiar with the method of storytelling. The show's episodes are set in such a way that they culminate to the ending of Season 1. That wasn't easy for a first-timer from my point of view. Now, the games are easier since there is a progression system to them. It would still help if you read the books, or given the Netflix release, the game should somewhat be easier to digest. However, The Witcher 3's base game alone, without being a completionist, is a 40 to 50 hour experience, and it is packed with many interesting stories in different locations. The Netflix series is limited by time and its format, while the game has the, liberty to bring more life to Geralt's world. Should you decide to get the game, make sure to fully get into the Bloody Baron questline. That bit alone makes for a worthy story to tell. In the Bottled Appetites episode where Geralt and Yen encounter the Djinn, it really isn't clear, or at least to me it wasn't clear, whether the bond was made up or something that was naturally evolving. While you get the feeling that it was something that evolved, the Bottled Appetites episode's telling was a bit confusing for me. In the game, there is a quest that is initiated by Yennefer, and it eventually leads you to face the Djinn, who may or may not be responsible for the setup between Geralt and Yen. The goal in the game is to undo the work of the Djinn, supposedly, which helps you to determine, with a certain finality, the relationship between the White Wolf and the Sorceress of Vengerberg. Of course, Season 2 of the adaptation may clear things up, but should you jump into CD Projekt Red's work, there is that quest for you to hunt down. Well, The Witcher is a big hit for Netflix, and it has spurred interest in the game as a result. Now, these are just the 5 things I've noticed from watching the series, but if there's anything else that stands out, let me know if you spotted anything else that's different between the show and the games. Thanks for checking this out, guys.